The courtroom fell silent. Robyn Brown, voice trembling but steady, opened a small leather journal. From between its pages, a flash drive slipped into her palm. And with it, years of secret recordings. Years of emails Kody never thought she'd keep. Years of manipulation documented word by word. That afternoon, everything changed. Episode 7 wasn't just another chapter in the Sister Wives saga. It was the explosion that shattered the entire story.
Pop some champagne.
This is the truth behind the bombshell that ended everything. It begins like all storms do, quietly. When episode 7 opens, we see Robyn seated alone in her vehicle, the camera lingering long enough to show that something is different. Her expression is unreadable, not sad, not angry, but resolved. In the voiceover, she says, "There are things I kept hidden for years, things I didn't think I'd ever share." Little did viewers know that those things were part of a much bigger truth, one that would soon unravel the entire narrative Kody had maintained for so long. For months, Kody had stood firm on his claim that he was the victim of betrayal, the victim of disloyal wives, the victim of a family that refused to obey his leadership. But in the courtroom of episode 7, a different story emerged. And this time, it wasn't one told by Christine, or Janelle, or Mary. It was Robyn, the wife he always believed would protect him. The wife he thought would guard his secrets. The wife he assumed would never turn against him. Robyn had been silent for years, carrying heavy emotional burdens no one saw. Fans always speculated, is she protecting Kody? Is she manipulated too? Does she have her own reasons for staying quiet? What we learn in this episode is far more complex. Robyn admits she had kept therapy journals almost from the beginning of their marriage. Not because she was planning for a courtroom battle. Not because she knew it would one day matter. But because she was trying to understand the man she married. She explains, "He said things that made sense in the moment. But later, I'd feel something was wrong. So I wrote everything down." Over time, those journals became a map, showing patterns of emotional manipulation, shifting narratives, pressured decisions, and private contradictions. The therapy journal was the first piece of the puzzle. But there was more. When Robyn reached into her bag and revealed a folder labeled, "Personal, not for sharing," the courtroom locked into stillness. Inside were printed copies of emails between her and Kody dating back nearly a decade. Emails the public had never seen. Emails the family never knew existed. Emails that revealed a darker dynamic inside their marriage. One email from Kody read, "You need to remind the others who the real leader is. If they won't fall in line, then you and I make decisions alone." Another said, "Don't tell the others what we discussed. They wouldn't understand the vision." A third, "You're the only one I trust. If we control the messaging, they'll eventually comply." These emails painted a portrait of a man slowly withdrawing from plural marriage and slowly creating a private alliance, one he shaped through pressure, guilt, and emotional influence. The courtroom murmured. Even the judge paused. This was the first time Robyn had ever contradicted Kody publicly. And she wasn't done. Because emails can be denied, misinterpreted, or dismissed as emotional writing. But what came next could not. Robyn pulled out a small flash drive. Hands trembling, eyes locked on Kody. "You said these recordings were only for me," she whispered. "But they were for my safety." Inside the drive were audio recordings from private conversations, many of them taken during moments of conflict, confusion, and emotional coercion. The audio revealed a pattern. Kody blaming multiple wives for problems he caused. Kody contradicting statements he made publicly. Kody promising one thing in private and doing the opposite in the family. Kody trying to shape Robyn's reactions before discussions. Kody admitting he wanted full control over decisions. In one recording, Kody says, "If they don't listen, then they don't matter." Another, "You always take my side. That's why I need you to talk to them for me." A third, almost chilling, "I can't let the others think they're equal. That's not how this works." When the courtroom heard these lines, you could feel the oxygen leave the room. For the first time, Kody's private persona was exposed, unfiltered, undeniable, and documented in his own voice. The attorneys sat stunned. The judge took notes vigorously. Even the audience behind Robyn leaned forward in disbelief. Kody's expression shifted from combative, to nervous, to something close to fear. And when the prosecution asked, "Mrs. Brown, why did you record these conversations?" Robyn answered, "Because therapy told me to protect myself." That single sentence changed the tone of the entire hearing. It suggested emotional harm, coercion, power imbalance, a dynamic built on control rather than partnership. For years, fans debated whether Robyn was complicit, whether she enabled Kody, whether she encouraged division. But now, the story looked different. She wasn't enabling him. She was surviving him. The revelations in episode 7 don't just expose Kody's private manipulation. They reshape the entire sister wives' timeline. Suddenly, Christine's escape makes even more sense. Janelle's breakdowns look less dramatic and more justified. Mary's emotional withdrawal becomes tragic rather than confusing. Even the children's distance is framed differently. Robyn explains in her testimony, "He told each of us different stories. We were all reacting to things we didn't know he said behind our backs." For years, viewers saw the wives fighting each other. But perhaps, they weren't fighting the wrong person. They were fighting the wrong information. This revelation brings a new interpretation to many iconic moments. Kody blaming Christine for betrayal. Kody accusing Janelle of being disloyal. Kody telling Mary she was the problem. Kody claiming Robyn was the only supportive wife. Now we know. His narrative was constructed, both privately and publicly. The biggest question of all. Why now? Why episode 7? Why the courtroom? Robyn answers, "I didn't want to lose my children to the same cycle. I needed to break it." She admits the pressure became unbearable during the property disputes at Coyote Pass. She describes moments where Kody pushed her to stand with him, against the other wives, even when she didn't agree. She describes emotional punishment, silent treatment, guilt tactics, blaming her for the family's breakdown, isolating behaviors, and the final trigger. He said if I didn't support his decisions, he'd question my loyalty. That was the moment she realized she had become the next target. And she decided to protect herself. Kody is visibly shaken in this episode. For years, he stood by the claim that Robyn was his refuge, the one wife who truly loved and understood him. But now, the refuge is gone. The narrative is collapsing. The evidence is undeniable. And the manipulation is exposed. Kody tries to respond. He insists he was misunderstood. He says the recordings lack context. But the judge is already leaning. The courtroom feels the shift. And so do the viewers. This episode isn't just about the Browns. It's about emotional manipulation, control dynamics, secrets inside plural marriage, the cost of silence, the danger of power imbalance. Robyn's testimony becomes a case study, a warning, a revelation. As the episode ends, Robyn says, "I didn't expose Kody to hurt him. I exposed the truth so I could finally breathe." And for the first time in the show's long history, fans see her not as the villain, but as another casualty of the same system that broke every wife before her. In the silence of episode 7, a new story began. Not of polygamy, not of loyalty, but of truth. And sometimes, telling the truth is the most rebellious act a person can commit.